Game day.
Welcome back to another episode of She's Focused. I kind of forgot where I was going there. Welcome back to another episode of She's Focused. We got a full show for you guys today. We've got a game to recap. I guess the Chiefs are going to another Super Bowl. And yeah, I guess, you know, the three-peat commences. JP says he's got some hot takes, so we'll see where we're going with that. My name is Quentin Morris. We got Thiz running the show in the background. And now two guys who are ready to become the most arrogant football fans on the planet. It's the old man JP and the Professor Caleb. How are we doing tonight, gentlemen?
We're okay. You sound like you're a little off tonight.
Yeah. You know, I was just reading my thing, and then I got distracted. I've got the Chiefs Bills box score in front of me. I was trying to read too much at once. You know how it is when you're like doing show prep and you've got all these tabs open, and I clicked away.
Yep. Hey man, I'm good. We're going to another Super Bowl
again. This is. I think it's hard. It's hard to
put into
recognize what we're watching. I was talking to a coworker of mine earlier in the week, and out of the last 10 years, 11 years, either the Royals or the Chiefs have been in a conference championship game 9 out of those 11 years.
Wow.
Hey, what's up, Will?
Crazy.
From 2014 to now, right? We've got 7 with the Chiefs, and we had the 14-15 runs by the Royals.
Yeah.
So I've been watching like significant, meaningful sports events for both of my teams since I was in high school.
Somebody old.
I know, but it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome to be able to. I literally go to sleep every night looking at a Kansas City Star cutout of the Royals World Series run, like the championship. I have the front page of the Star cut out and framed that says royalty on top, and I see Gutierrez and Wade Davis embracing each other with Salvador Perez running out of the dugout. That's why I go to bed looking at that every night.
Well, that's
perfect, man.
That's cool, and it could be a little disturbing. No matter depends on how you look at it. But hey,
when they get the three-peat, I'll have a Kansas City Star cutout of three-peat, and
he's ready.
That will go right next to Salvador Perez and
he's ready.
Wade Davis.
There you go, man. That game was. It felt like from the opening drive that we had complete control of that football game. I will say this. This is the best this team has looked in 2 years. I don't think that this team could be any better than they are right now as a whole. The offense looked great. The defense looked great. Special teams looked great. Everybody looked great. With the exception of one mistake. I mean, kind of a major mistake, but with the exception of that mistake, it was almost mistake-free football.
I assume you're talking about the botched RPO.
Yeah, that was. And look, man, I think it was just a matter of Pacheco not understanding the play call. I think he thought it was a fake. You know, he thought it was a fake RPO, and he just fucked it up. I mean, I just think,
to me, when I was watching it, I think Mahomes was just a little late pulling it.
Yeah, it looked like it was on both of them, kind of.
It hit the side of the running, like the ball was a little low to begin with, and then as he's coming across, he's trying to pull it back. I think he just pulled it back too late.
He's supposed to pull his hand back, not the ball. And I think Pacheco's supposed to actually clinch it with his elbow, and he didn't do it. And that was kind of I don't know, man. But regardless, it doesn't matter. At this point, Kareem came in and did what he does and what he's best at. I don't think we would have won that football game without him.
I don't think we would have made it this far without Kareem.
No.
I think that he has brought, like, Kansas City is not as effective running the ball as they were last year, but Andy Reid deserves a lot of credit. I mean, how often before, I guess maybe last year, right? From 2023, since 1999, since Andy Reid has been a head coach, how often did Andy Reid get you don't run the ball enough? Like, for
every second.
I mean, seriously.
It was a 70-30 split with him all the time, sometimes 80-20.
For 23 years, Andy Reid, it was like, can you just fucking run the ball, please? Can you do that? That would be great. If you could just do me a solid and run the ball. And then these last couple years, right, it has been, hey, we understand that we don't have the offensive firepower or the explosiveness, so let's turn to the run game. We've got one of, if not the best defense in the league. We'll play through that, and we know that when Mahomes magic needs to happen, we've got that sitting in our back pocket. And Andy Reid has just completely changed. Now, he's doing the quote unquote extension of the run game, right? Some of those screens, some of those flats, those which is great, right? But I just think that what Andy Reid has been able to do, and just sort of like on a dime, to just accept the fact that, hey, if this team's going to be successful, we need to run the ball more.
They have to, yeah.
That he's just been able to completely change. That doesn't happen with people, okay? People don't just change, right?
But you know what? But Quentin, think about this. Remember the 2017-2018 seasons? That's when I really noticed a change in Andy with the running the ball, and honestly, who was there? Kareem Hunt.
Yep.
He changed Andy in a way because he saw things in Kareem that I don't think anybody else had seen until that draft, until he hit the Chiefs field, and he's a different. I don't even know how to explain. I can't even put into words what kind of running back he is, because he's different than pretty much everybody we've ever seen. If you watch him run the ball and the way he is able to open up the field, it's different than most running backs. Saquon Barkley's great if he has open holes. I'm giving him credit for that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got an offensive line, and if you watch that that NFC Championship game, his biggest runs were because there were wide open freeways in front of him. But when they closed the gap, he got nowhere. Kareem is able to pick up 2 or 3 yards. Even if he's stuffed in the backfield, he's able to make positive yardage out of it because he knows how to use his legs. He knows how to lean forward. He knows how to find the gaps, which way to lean his body when he's falling forward. He's just different, man. I'm just, Andy put out a video, or I guess it was kind of a press conference about bringing Kareem back. And he said this, what we had talked about, Caleb, back in 21.
Yep.
That, I noticed a change in him then, and I knew he had a good heart. He changed. He's a good dude. It was just about timing. And he just put that out here over the last week. And we've been talking about this for freaking 4 years.
Yep.
We knew he'd get back because we were told he was cleared to come back, and he is.
And he's come back at the right time to help his team. I mean, they really need him. I mean, we look at it. I mean, Pacheco's hurt, obviously, so we don't know if he's going to run the best, but he did his thing. But Kareem really showed up and showed down. That's what the Chiefs need, ultimately, at the end of the day. And you already know he's going to be running hard in the Super Bowl. I just think that this 1-2 punch is going to scare the Eagles. I don't think Jalen Carr and them can do that much, but I do feel like this team has a really good chance to do a lot of great things. So it's going to be a great next couple of weeks.
I agree. It's amazing what he's been able to do. I'm so happy for that kid. I mean, I can't even put into words how happy I am for him because he fought his way back here. He wanted to come back, cried when he left the stadium when they cut him. And he was a mess for a year after that. He got himself straightened out. He knew he had an opportunity. He talked to Andy. He talked to Pat. In fact, he went to Pat's wedding.
That means something.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't like he was shunned for life. It was just a situation that he had to get past. They wanted to make sure he was good, and he is. I don't know, man. I'm happy for the kid. I'm so glad he's with us. I mean, he deserves this ring. He really does.
And when we take a look back at this era of Chiefs football, I think that we might talk about him as the most important midseason ad. In this,
we need a running back,
possibly Chiefs history, right?
I agree. I agree. 100% Chiefs history.
Because like Chiefs legend Terrell Suggs, while he had an important play, there hasn't been another addition to where I feel like he was, first of all, added early in the season, right? So he has just like the time frame where a lot of the other guys that the Chiefs trade for, they do it right at the trade deadline. Think like Diop, for example.
Yep.
But other guys that they come in and they add, they usually aren't like immediate impact players. It usually takes them a little bit to get going. And a lot of guys, some of the big free agent acquisitions, they just happen before the season starts, right?
Yep.
So there was such a slim spot for Kareem to really just find this sort of niche way to impact. The way he was added to this team just doesn't happen all that often, where you get a guy from off the couch who has just turned out to be great. And it's exactly what Kansas City needed. So it's sort of that next man up mentality. We've just been so lucky that he's been able to come off the couch and be that guy, and to be a guy that it's like, hey, this is what we need you to do, and he's been exactly that, no more, no less.
Well, he didn't lose a step. That was the crazy thing. Is everybody, you listen to the Carrington Harrisons of the world, and he's just a practice squad guy. We knew he wasn't going to be a practice squad guy. We knew he wasn't going to take 4 weeks to get into the system. He was there a week after he was signed. The second game he was playing and effective. I don't know, man. He's just different. I mean, I'm just glad. I'm proud of the kid. I'm happy for him more than anything. He deserves a ring. He came into this system and helped us get to a place that we probably wouldn't have gotten to without him in those first 2 years. And, just got abruptly ended. But he deserves it. And I'm happy for him. I feel kind of bad for McCole Hardman. He's out for the season. They tried to get him to go, and it just wasn't good. But he's still, he's still here. So kind of is what it is. But hey, man, they made the right moves. They made the right decision to move Thuney to tackle, leave Caliendo where he's at, keep the other guys on the sidelines, because that was a smart move. Hey, and you're probably gonna go crazy when I say this, Quentin.
Yeah, it's
I'm proud of Taylor.
Yeah, and you know what? That's impressive coming from you.
Yeah, because I can't stand the guy, but I got to tell you, I was actually watching specifically for him on each play, and there was only a couple plays where he actually looked like he jumped a little bit early, but it was a millisecond early. He's really worked hard on, man, I know what Blakeman is. I know he's a penalty freak.
They probably emphasized and told him do not.
Yeah. I guarantee Mahomes did, because he wasn't, he was the reason why Thuney was left where he was at in the playoffs. Mahomes said, hell no, you ain't doing this shit to me. Will asked, do you think D-House knees bothered him? It is bothering him. That's why he's not playing as much, because his knees kind of swelled up. But
whose knees bothering him?
Yeah.
Oh, D-Hop? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be just going to be injected with all the stuff you can think of for the Super Bowl.
For 32 years old, going to be 33 years old, yeah, you get an injection, you keep playing. Ask Willie Rolfe. He'll tell you. When you get to that age and you want to play and you're needed, you get the shot. Kind of is what it is. So, but, hey, man, hats off to those guys. Everybody played a part. Everybody played a part in that game.
I mean, including P. Ryan.
Yeah, man.
I literally I was talking with a coworker today, and I was like, hey, this truly was a team effort. And I was like, if I gave you a list, he's like, hey, before the game started, I'm going to say one receiver, one player is going to catch the ball, and they're going to run 10 yards to ice the game. Who would it be? And I was like, I bet P. Ryan probably wouldn't have even made the list.
No.
Yeah.
Just because, I forgot he was on the damn team. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
the play
he was on the team, and he went out there and he caught the ball, and I'm looking at my TV, screaming at it, what?
Well, you see, they made everyone go to the right, and then P. Ryan just saw out the left, and all he had to do was beat the defender.
Yeah, he beat the linebacker.
It was a perfectly designed play. Yeah.
It's crazy because when we was signed to the team and we did our show, I was like, oh, they're going to use him in the passing game. That's the way. This isn't a running back, stereotypical running back, right? This is a guy that's phenomenal at catching the ball out of the backfield, and in the biggest moment, that's what they use him for. And it's just crazy that I guess this dude's just been sitting on the bench, waiting for his opportunity, and then when he got it, kudos to him. Nerves didn't get to him. right? Like he caught the ball, he ran for the first down, and he got exactly what the Chiefs needed him to do. And it just seems like in these moments, we've seen so many guys go out and make their one play. Watson, for example, right?
Yeah.
Getting a 2-point conversion in the back of the end zone. He had his one moment, and that'll be it. There's going to be so many guys.
It's funny, those little moments like that make up for everything.
And they really do. I mean, look, people in Kansas City, as much as they will shit on Kadarius Toney, they will always be thankful for his punt return.
Exactly.
Like those moments will forever exist. And I'm trying to think, okay, who's fringe on the roster that hasn't made a play yet, because they're going to make a play in the Super Bowl.
Uche.
There you go.
But anyway, no, look, P. Ryan's done that a couple times during the regular season. You guys remember he came in certain games, got us down the field, got a first down, and walked right back off the field.
Yep.
Look, the Bills never expected.
They were saving him.
He was on our team.
They were saving him, and he's saving them. You already know he's going to use someone else next for the Super Bowl. I mean, this offense is loaded in a lot of different ways. It is,
man. I mean, look, they would have expected Kareem Hunt to go in there and do that. They would have never expected Peter. They thought he was going to go in there and block. And to think, Caleb, do you remember somewhere around week 3 or 4, we said, well, he probably won't be here very long because they were making all those moves and doing everything. I said, well, he might not be here. I heard they were considering trading him to Dallas when Dallas lost their running back. And then Pacheco goes down, and it's like, well, I guess we're keeping him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it worked out good for us. I mean, it did. I think, talking about all those guys that just made plays when they needed to play, when we needed that play. You're right, Quentin. Everybody on that team seemed to contribute in some way or another. I was amazed at how. And look, man, Remigio. Look at that kid.
Quentin's guy.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Crazy, right?
Hey, they brought up Justin Ross just specifically for this game too. He was active and on the field, not play. He didn't play.
Justin Ross.
Yep. So
let's talk about the Quentin's real guy, right? The one who was actually making impact plays in the playoffs.
You heard someone got hurt.
Let's go, Remigio.
That's your guy. That's
my guy. I told them to draft him. They picked him up as an undrafted free agent. Guy's been money, right? Had a great return against the Texans. Had a great punt return last week. I mean, what are the odds that the Chiefs have 2 guys in Super Bowl history that have the longest kick/punt returns in Super Bowl history?
Yeah, I mean,
let's do it. Come on, Remigio. I know you got it.
He might break one. I don't even know how good the Eagles' special teams are, but I can see him breaking one possibly.
Hey, man, when he went down, I got a little nervous. I thought, oh, shit.
Yeah, he tried to hurt him. Like,
his knee. Yep. Yeah, I thought, oh, boy, he's not feeling good. And he came right back in, though.
I think it's one of those where it's like when you get tackled and that ball, like right in your diaphragm.
Oh, man, that knocks the wind out of you.
Yeah, knocks the wind out of you. And then as soon as you stand up, you take a deep breath, you're good. So
that's what happened to Kareem, too, in that game.
Yeah, I think it's just
one that's of those. True. Kareem, fell on the ball.
That's happened to me one time, right, where you're holding the ball and you just get smacked.
Yeah.
And it just pushes everything out of you. And there's nothing you can do about it in the moment. You just gotta, wait for everything to come back.
Exactly. You gotta let your lungs reinflate, and then you're good. But
yeah,
man, I don't know, dude. Everybody, the defense looked really good. Everybody on the defense looked good. Jalen Watson, thank you. He is a stud, and I'm glad he's back. Can you imagine our defense would be number 1 overall if he would have played the entire season. Him and Amenihu changed the whole landscape of the defense. Just coming back, stepping on the field, they changed the landscape. Amenihu, again, doesn't have a shit ton of sacks, all that stuff, but his presence scares everyone. And I got to tell you, Jalen Watson, and look, man, hey, what about Najee Johnson? He played his ass off in that game.
He played pretty good.
I mean, kid had a good game, man. Yeah, I bet it was, Will. I bet it was crazy loud. In fact, Sean McDermott made a very poignant 3-minute statement about how loud Arrowhead was.
Well, hey, When you can't secure home field advantage, you don't want to hear it.
Yeah, he said, man, I got hats off to Arrowhead. He said, he said, I've been in the league a long time and I never heard anything like that. He said, the quarterback couldn't hear me. I couldn't hear the quarterback.
Yep.
I couldn't hear this. I couldn't hear that. He said the guys on the line couldn't even hear Josh call out the game. I mean, it was loud. And apparently it was, I mean, he's never heard anything that loud. So, and he's played inside domes too. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's awesome for the fans to be able to get that loud and take care of business. And they did, man. They did. Yep. But again, we had control of that game from the second we stepped on the field, we had control. And we just, it wasn't for a couple of little hiccups, that kind of swung the momentum. But I think we had control the whole game. Our defense had control of Josh Allen. Look, man, 4 failed tush pushes, 4 of them. 4 failed. That's pretty amazing.
Well, here's the thing, though. Allen and them really were taking the ball high to go the ball to the left. The Chiefs are ready for it.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like that to
just
me
didn't alter anything. Like we know what's coming to the left.
Yeah.
You would think they would change it.
That to me is a coaching thing, right? Where it's like if you're the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, whatever, you need to get into Allen's head. Hey, look, you have a tendency to go to the left this time. Go to the right. Right? I need you thinking, go to the right, go to the right. That's what I need in your brain when we run this play this time around. And I'm not just saying for the Chiefs game. I'm saying like 5 weeks ago.
You got to change it up.
Like this has got to be something that you're changing months ago.
Yeah.
Because we talk about all the time that it's not how good you are when you get into the league, right? The reason why we talk about sophomore slumps and that sort of thing is because once guys get tape on you, and they learn your tendencies, you need to make the adjustments to the adjustments. And that tells me you didn't make adjustments to it all year. And sure, it worked for you all year. But the one time that it doesn't, we see the impact of that. And so you need to be constantly changing to continue to be effective in this league if you want to continue to stay on top. And that's one of the reasons why, the Bills can't push through is because you just keep getting out coached. And that's just an example of it. It's the small things. It's the little things that once again, Kansas City was ready for. They put more guys on the right-hand side because they knew that if you were going to sneak that, do the push, that you were going to the right. And Kansas City had their big boys shifted over to the right in order to stop that. Tony Romo called it out. Tony Romo. And
I can't stand him.
While he is, he is a guy that spends time watching this stuff. He is not in the booth, watching film for 18 weeks on the same team, on yourself, the scout yourself, right? Like, he shouldn't be able to say before the play's going, hey, this guy literally does this every time, so I bet you he's going to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They knew. It was really on the 1 yard line. You already know it's going to be a push. And I'm curious, though, and we'll get to it in probably the next 1 minutes, but how did the Chiefs stop the tush push?
I'll tell you how. I was getting ready to bring it up. I'm glad you said that.
Well,
did you notice how low they got? That was the difference. They have been practicing how to stop that because they've got 2 teams that that's all they're known for. If you looked at how their center of gravity when they were lined up for that, it was insane because usually guys are coming from the top and they're because their center of gravity is higher, so they're coming from the top. Every one of our defensive players came from the bottom up, and that was what was able to stop that. They got really low and they bull rushed it from the bottom up instead of from the top down. That's where, like they tell you all the time, you don't want to tackle a guy from his chest. You want to go low, stop their momentum. And that's what they did. And every time they went up for that lineup, I looked at them and I thought, shit, look how low he is. Look how low the entire line is. They had a couple guys up and everybody else was low. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. That gave me more confidence going into the Super Bowl. Because Jalen Hurts that's what they do. That's their entire if it's not Saquon Barkley, it's them tush pushing. That's all they do. So this is going to be. I bet they don't do well. Knowing Nick Sirianni, he'll probably call it anyway because that's just he's weird like that. But that it's going to fail for them too because we figured it out. No matter who we're going up against, we figured that out. So 0-4, they hadn't been stopped all year. Do you understand? I think they said 35 times they had done the tush push, and they succeeded in all of them except for those 4.
Wow.
That tells you a lot.
That tells me it's a coaching thing because they have faced bigger defensive lines. They have faced arguably better defensive lines than what the Chiefs have. And that to me just says that whoever was in the film room, whether it was Spags, whether it was maybe it was the defensive line coach, hell, it could have been an intern. I don't care. That they're just better at those sort of small things. Andy Reid refers to it. He always says buttoned up. We got to be buttoned up for this, right? That's how he always refers to it as is that our coaches keep things buttoned up, and those small things are why you lose in playoff games because I think that this team, there was a real chance that the Chiefs were going to lose this game. That is an extremely talented team. Josh Allen is a hell of a quarterback.
Yeah.
There are just some things that you're not going to be able to overcome when you've got a head coach like Andy Reid, back there making sure that everything is, once again, quote, buttoned up.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Fair.
And, it seemed like to me, and I don't know about you guys, but it seemed like the Bills, this is why we preach this on this show, and I've preached it forever. Film. Andy does not give you film. That's why.
Vanilla, basic vanilla all year long.
Absolutely. He will keep it minimal enough to win. There's a reason why we're like 17 games with one-score games, the history of the NFL, because Andy is not going to give you anything. He didn't give you anything in week 1. He didn't give you anything in week 17. And then the playoffs come, and he was pretty much not given a whole lot. He showed a little bit in the Texans game. But in this game, he showed enough to win. Playoff. Nobody's seen those calls. If you watched any of those plays that were called, the majority of them, nobody had seen all year. We hadn't seen them. That's the difference. That's why Andy does it the way he does it. So everybody that wants to bitch, whine, and cry about, these one-score games, and I wish we'd blow somebody out, I don't. I'm glad we do it the way we do it.
I think it was, I can't remember who, but that the Chiefs winning 17 score games in a row is 1 in 250,000.
Yeah.
It like the odds are just nearly impossible for Kansas City to be able to do what they've been able to do.
It's hard.
It's like Kansas City is built to beat everybody by 3 points.
Yeah.
And that's it.
What they want to say, what they think. But that's look, man, if Andy wanted to go out there and blow people out by 30, 40 points a game, he could. But he learned his lesson in 18, 19, 20, 21. You can do all of that, and then they might know what you're doing. Even though we won, that was on the heels of Patrick Mahomes, because we had the 27th ranked defense when we won the first Super Bowl. We had the 17th ranked defense when we won the second Super Bowl. We had the 11th ranked defense when we won the third Super Bowl. So it's all about, or when we went to the third Super Bowl, let me put it that way. It's all about how the coaches decide. It's all in the coaching, every bit of it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You got Spags, by the way, is not going anywhere. As I said, I don't want to brag, but I was right. You got Joe Cullen, Andy Reid, that kid what's his name? Brandon, what's his name? The kid came over from the one that came over from New England. What was his name?
It's Brennan Day or something. He's been like 8-9 Super Bowls, something crazy.
Yeah, that he knows what he's doing.
He's a future DC when Spags leaves.
Huh?
If he were to leave, if Spags were to leave, that's your future DC.
That's right. Him or Joe Cullen, one of the two. So
yeah,
man, we're just in good shape. We're in really good shape. By the way, I wanted to bring this up, and I know this is off topic of the Super Bowl and the Chiefs. the Raiders, Pete Carroll has no idea what he stepped into. The more I look at him and watch his little interviews, I just feel bad for him. He's
Early prediction for the Raiders is they draft the quarterback out of Alabama.
Guarantee it. And they'll win 5 games. Because Carroll, he's a good coach, don't get me wrong. But I don't think they don't have enough draft capital or time to do better than 5 games this next year. Carroll doesn't realize that Mark Davis is still in control. And as long as he is, that team is going to suffer. He's going to suffer. He's got a 5-year contract. I give him 3. And he's going to be gone. He just doesn't know what he stepped into. Let's get back to where we were at. The only reason I brought that up is because I was thinking of AFC teams and how our AFC, 3 of the 4 teams went to the playoffs. It's not like what Brady had to deal with. Brady had it easy. I mean, most of those teams didn't sniff a playoff game for 15 years.
Yeah, well, there was 10 years such, or Tom Brady and them didn't do anything. So
exactly. So
7's what they've been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. That's really good.
Yeah. So for us to be in a division that has 2 other playoff teams this year and still come out really better than anybody else did for the season, it's pretty strong. Anyway, moving on. What do we got? What do you think about this game coming up?
I mean, we're going to have a lot of time to talk about it. So my first thought is I don't understand why nobody's talking about the main storyline of the Super Bowl. Carson Wentz revenge game.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Carson Wentz revenge. No,
he's wearing that headset really fucking well, Caleb. He's doing just as well as we are with these things.
Maybe the Chiefs can, if they end up making it to where they end up beating them by a lot, and they let him come in on the backup. Say that'd be nice, but
I
think
don't know.
It's gonna be a lot closer than we think.
Ever happen? And I think even if they were up by 45 points, I don't think Patrick Mahomes would throw a fit on the sideline.
He really would.
You're not taking
I don't think.
Game.
I don't know. We'll see.
I think that there's going to be a lot of similar conversations to when the Chiefs played the Eagles 2 years ago, because I think the conversation is going to be, hey, this Eagles defensive line is better than the Chiefs offensive line. Hey, this Eagles offensive line is better than the Chiefs defensive line. And what do we always talk about? You went in the trend. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of similar conversations.
I don't think as good as they were 2 years ago.
This Eagles team is more talented than the Chiefs team, right? And I think that there's going to be a lot of those arguments made, and I think a lot of them can be made in good faith.
I don't think they're as good as they were last year.
You mean 2 years ago?
2 years ago, they're not as good of a football team as they were 2 years ago.
I think the only change is Saquon.
I really do.
Jalen Carter is a beast. He is a god.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's good.
AJ Brown's
like last time, 0 sacks.
Exactly. I don't think they are as good as they were 2 years ago, and that was my controversial take on this. I don't believe the Eagles are as good as they look like they are. I don't think they're as good as what they showed Washington. Again, they showed Washington everything.
Washington literally hurt themselves.
They really did. Their O-line gave up Jalen. What's his name? Jaden Daniels, and their defensive line wasn't doing that great. What did he say? He said Cody
and all the fumbles. Otherwise, you could say the Commanders would have still been in it.
I agree. I think they would have. I don't know why they gave them up, but they did. They just both fell apart. Both lines fell apart, and that killed them. But I don't know, man. You're not going to deny Patrick Mahomes a three-peat.
I just think that I think that you could really, out of all the Super Bowls the Chiefs have played in, I think you can make an argument that the NFC team is more talented than the Chiefs. Just if you go like player for player. And I think that all of these teams that the Chiefs have faced have had more star power on them, right? And you can make that argument with this version of the Eagles, is that there's more star power on the Eagles than there is on Kansas City. But when it comes down to coaching and the quarterback, I think the Chiefs have a significant advantage of it.
Then we got Chris Jones. They don't have the version of Chris Jones.
I don't think that I don't think a ton of Jalen Hurts. I don't think he's a bad quarterback by any means. So maybe that was a poor way to phrase it. But I just don't think that he's like great. I think he's good for what the Eagles ask him to do.
Yeah, that's more like
I think he's a better passer than what he was 2 years ago. But yeah, I just think that when you've got the best quarterback in the league and you just went up against the second best quarterback in Josh Allen and you saw the difference there. And then you've got Jalen Hurts who, depending on who you at, let's just say he's the 8th best quarterback in football, right? Let's just try and find a reasonable number. He's just outside the top 5. And then you've got Nick Sirianni, who on the other side, who I've made very clear that I do not like.
No, he's I don't think he's a good coach.
No one likes Nick Sirianni.
And I don't think that it's like, I don't know what he brings to the table outside of
he's a cheerleader.
Dom, right? Outside of the guard. What is that guy? What's his role? The security guard?
Big
Dom.
Yeah, Big Dom. Yeah.
Outside of that, I just don't know what Nick Sirianni brings to the table. I will say this. One of the most interesting matchups, and I know that we'll definitely get to this later in the week, is that Vic Fangio is the defensive coordinator for the Eagles. And I think that matchup is just phenomenal. I think that's going to be crazy because Kansas City actually has a ton of success against Vic Fangio.
A ton of success.
A ton of success. Going all the way back to his Denver days.
Yeah.
I think that even though, like, against Vic Fangio, the Chiefs are 8-0 with a plus 15 point differential, 11 touchdowns to 3 interceptions.
And let's remember,
that includes the playoff game against the Dolphins, the Dolphins game in in Germany. So Kansas City has really dominated Vic Fangio's defense. And a lot of that is just because Kansas City plays a lot of horizontal ball, right? They play a lot of sideline to sideline, a lot of those quick passes, a lot of those screens and stuff. The Vic Fangio style defense struggles against that. So I'm expecting a ton of Xavier Worthy to be in this game.
Oh, yeah.
And
Let's talk about that kid. Holy crap.
Brown, Mark. Yeah, literally, everybody did their thing.
Anyway, I agree with you. And let's remember that the Ravens brought Vic Fangio in last year to be a consultant for specifically against us in the AFC Championship game. He did squat.
The Eagles did the same thing with Fangio the first time around.
That's right.
Before he went somewhere, I forgot where, but yeah, they brought him in for a consultant for 2 weeks.
Right. So every time he's brought in, I don't know what made them think, okay, let's just go back and look at the record. We have dominated him.
Well, statistically, though, he has held Mahomes in check, but when Mahomes have needed to do it, Mahomes has went scorched earth.
Yeah. I'm not. I mean, that to me is a plus for us, is for him to be the defensive coordinator for them. I think it's a plus. But Will said, our defense has something to prove against the Eagles, giving up 35 points 2 years ago. I agree. I think that this whole defense, especially Chris Jones, they're all chomping at the bit to hold them to under 20 points. And I think they can. I think they will. If they can look, Saquon Barkley is a great running back. Not going to take anything away from him. The difference between him and other great running backs, even Kareem Hunt, is that he needs freeways to break those runs. He needs wide open freeways. When the gaps are closed up, he doesn't get those extra yards like other running backs do. And I think that's where our defense, as good as we've been against some of the best running backs in the league. I mean, again, how many yards did Cook have against us?
84, I want to say. It was under 100. Kansas City has not allowed a running back to get over 100 yards on him this year.
Felt like he got over 100.
The only person to get 100 yards rushing.
Right.
It did feel like it.
It did. The only the only player to get over 100 yards was Lamar Jackson in the very first game. No running back has gotten over 100 yards.
And honestly, that actually goes back almost 2 years, because our defense didn't allow, if I remember right, our defense didn't allow a 100-yard rusher in all of 23. If I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look at the stats, but we didn't allow very many yards in 23 either.
Yeah, James Cook got 85 yards.
Oof.
Yeah.
Felt like 185.
Now, on 13
did.
carries, it was like 6 yards a carry.
Yeah. But, again, and think about this, though. The defense was actually, in Spags, they were actually programmed and set up to stop both of them, Josh and Cook. So they did a good job keeping Cook under 100 yards and keeping Josh to a very minimal. I mean,
true.
So when you game plan like that, one's going to give a little bit. So that's just happened to be, Cook gave a little bit more, but Josh got nothing in that game compared to what he's gotten against what he got against us in the first matchup in the regular season, which meant really nothing, and what he's done to other teams. So we did a good job. We held them. And that's what matters. If you can keep those guys at a minimum, Jalen Hurts isn't the best runner either. He's okay. But he's not a Lamar Jackson. He's not a Josh Allen. And look, if he scrambles out to the right or left and he's being chased, it's almost a guarantee he's going to end up out of bounds. Because that's just what he does. He doesn't go head first to anybody, really. He's not like Josh. So if you watch any of his games, that's just what he does. He said, "Do you think Jalen Hurts' knee will be?" No, I don't think he's 100%, but he'll be a lot better than he is now.
Oh yeah, he's not 100%.
No, and I don't think he will be even in the Super Bowl. I don't think you're going to see as many design. Well, you probably won't see any design runs for him unless they're very short yardage. It'll all be Saquon, and that's something that our defense is really good at stopping. Is great running backs. We've stopped Henry. We've stopped Cook. We've stopped Jacobs. We've stopped everybody. Nobody's been able to run on us. So it's going to be interesting, man. I'm just happy we're there. I mean,
hey, look, this is already the greatest 3-year run in NFL history.
It is. It absolutely is.
So no other team looking for the three-peat has made it to the Super Bowl. Only two out of the 7 back-to-back champions, only 2 of them even made it to a championship game.
That's right.
So this is already the greatest run in Super Bowl history, and to be able to cap it off with a Super Bowl win would just be. I mean,
that's when you say this.
We can start having a serious conversation. It would be obviously the best 3-year run in NFL history.
Oh yeah,
Kansas City being to 4 Super Bowls in 6 years is already the best 6-year run in Super Bowl history. Like, a lot of people forget that the Patriots dynasty had a 10-year lull, right? Where they didn't win a Super Bowl. Now they went to a couple and lost to Eli Manning, which I feel like you should get rings taken away from you for that. But I digress. I just think that we can have a serious conversation about Andy Reid, where he stacks up against the greatest coaches of all time, where Patrick Mahomes stands up against the greatest coaches of all time, because this is where you start to continue to build legacy, and winning back-to-back Super Bowls for legacy standpoint means more in weight than what just the 3 Super Bowl rings are.
Oh, absolutely. And look, that right there is going to put him 100% in GOAT status, because even the GOAT couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And he had top 5, top 10 defense his entire career, except for the few years he didn't go to the Super Bowl.
Towards the end. Well, no, actually, kind of a little bit, yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, those few, he was at a 10-year span that he didn't even see a Super Bowl. And if you go back and you look at all those numbers, top 15, top 17, top 22, none of them were top 5, top 10. That's what he needed to succeed. The one thing that I can say about Mahomes is he's won 2 Super Bowls with tops, they were 17th and then 27th. So
probably, yeah. Middle of the package.
Yeah. So you can't deny he's going to be the absolute best that's ever played this game if he wins this game. If he puts up over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, he's the best that's ever played this game. It's that simple.
Interesting. Well, we'll see. I know it's going to be a big game. A lot's going to happen. It's going to be very, very interesting. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I think
Kareem's going to have a huge game.
Oh, he's going to run hard. I hope him and Pacheco can just be thunder and lightning, or whatever you want to call it.
Batman and Robin?
Batman, Robin, Thunder, and Lightning, whatever. But I just know that Mahomes and them, they're going to show some stuff. And if you look at this offense, this is pretty good compared to what the Chiefs have had. You could argue said they had 3 number ones on their team, or whoever number ones at one point. Juju, Marquise Brown, and D-Hop.
Is it? I feel like this is a D-Hop game, right? Because he hasn't done anything in the playoffs yet.
His knee's been bothering him.
So I think this is a D-Hop game.
He's got enough time to rest, and I think he's going to get in there because he's the type of guy, too, that, hey, man, I want to contribute.
Yeah, D-Hop go 5 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Isn't that – I just think this is a DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know what his over-under is on the betting markets, but I just think that, Juju Smith-Schuster, 2 catches for 60 yards. We know that it was Travis Kelce's game in the divisional round. So I think it's DeAndre Hopkins who has, I think, 2 targets the entire playoff run at this point. 3 targets the entire playoffs at this point. It's his Super Bowl to come up. And, for him personally, this is a guy that, without the ring is probably a Hall of Fame wide receiver. But
with the ring, he's a shoo-in.
But to get that and to be able to point at the game and be like, not only do I have the Super Bowl ring, but I was a big reason for winning this game.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that would be a big thing for him.
I think them two there, him and Hunt, it's just a driving reason why they
back them.
Yeah, it's just those 2 guys deserve rings more than anybody on the team. Really, they really do, and that's a good way for the team to look at it. Let's get these 2 guys a ring. So it'd be nice to see it happen. I know D-Hop's mom is all over social media constantly because she's so excited. And
he deserves to be signed. Yeah,
she does. Her son's been playing all these years. He's 32 years old, and he's just now, as great as he's been his entire career, he's just now with a team that can get him a Super Bowl. So, and a coach and a quarterback.
Yep.
They hold things in good. His knee has been bothering him, but they're very good. Andy's very good at keeping things under wraps.
If you think about the teams DeAndre Hopkins has played for, dysfunctional franchise in Houston.
Horrible.
Got traded to Arizona with the retirement community.
Yeah.
Then signed with the Titans.
Yeah.
And then got traded here. Just talk about like when you think of just boring, sort of under the radar, just oh yeah, I guess you're a football team kind of franchises.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are the 3.
I'm surprised he didn't play for the Panthers at some point. It's like
he might next year.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if he wants to come back, he would come back for league minimum and play for the Chiefs. He wouldn't go to a shitty team. He's gotten paid. He's getting paid right now to play for the Chiefs. He's actually being paid right now by the Titans to play for us. Can't complain about that.
Yep, that's true.
So let him, $17, $18 million they still owe him. And he's with a team that's going to a Super Bowl while they're all sitting at home or in Cancun or wherever it is they went this year. So I think Cancun's kind of played out. They're probably switching it up now. I'm sure Burrow and all those guys got together and said, hey, you know what? Cancun's getting old. Let's just go somewhere else. Cayman Islands, it doesn't matter.
They're going to the Bahamas.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, it's going to be interesting to see how this game plays out. I think more than anything, I'm interested to see how Andy, what he brings to this game.
Everything, including the kitchen sink.
He might. I think Andy's pretty smart, man. He's like, okay, wait. Am I dominating this game with what I'm doing now? Or do I need to show something that I really don't need to, for no reason, because I'm still dominating this game? The only time he brings anything out of his butt is when he wants to, when he's in that situation where he has to. And that's what I like about him. He's, did you see that thing he put up about, he said, somebody asked him about, how was this game? He said, well, all these games are gut wrenching, and I got a lot of gut to wrench. He's
not really scared.
He's so funny, man. He's just a good dude all the way around, and he deserves this too. This guy's been a coach for a long time, got a lot of ridicule with the Philadelphia Eagles, especially towards the end. And they're kicking themselves in the ass right now. Yeah, they've been to a couple Super Bowls, haven't won either one of them, except for the one in 17. But Nick Sirianni is not the answer to anything.
No,
he's an idiot. And Thiz brought it up. Kellen Moore is going to probably be the Saints head coach.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. So, What are they going to do then? They're running out of people to coach his team for him. And that's the biggest thing.
You have to figure it out.
Look at the Lions. The Lions, they lost both Ben Johnson and their defensive coordinator.
Well, and it's funny. No one wants to poach the Chiefs players because
Nope.
our police staff. So.
No. The only person
I agree. His focus will be elsewhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely it will be. The only person that got poached was our assistant GM.
Mm-hmm.
That was it so far.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody else is going to leave. Joe Collins not going anywhere. Why would he go anywhere?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be his like 7th ring.
Brennan
He was
Daly,
with the Patriots.
Yep.
So why would he leave?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the grass isn't always greener with the added stress.
Mm-hmm.
You're making a pretty good living.
That is the truth.
You get to have fun, be with a great dominant team, and go to Super Bowls all the time. Shit, I wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Anyway, what else we got?
I think that's it for now.
That's
Obviously, we got another week to talk all the Super Bowl stuff that's going on. I know I want to break down specific matchups going down, Chiefs offensive line, defensive line. I know that Trent McDuffie, I'm interested to see how he's used. Like, do they put him up against Devontae Smith? Do they use him against A.J. Brown? I know one of the things that McDuffie struggles with is going to be against large receivers. So
that's where I think they put Jalen Watson in. Jalen Watson's good against large receivers.
These are the things that, I'm interested to see. And we will go over all of that next week.
Yep.
So,
yep. Well, we appreciate everybody for joining, and we will talk to you guys Super Bowl week. Peace out, everybody.
See ya.